We all dream of a simple and smooth home buying process, but it doesn't always work out that way. In fact, there are quite a few mistakes that I see home buyers frequently make in the process that can cause hassle and headache, and you could easily avoid it if you knew to make a better decision. Hi, I'm Bethany Way, and I am a realtor with Keller Palmetto in Columbia, South Carolina. I have been helping my real estate clients for 18 years, so I know exactly what you need to know about buying a home. If you want to make your home buying experience a lot easier, keep listening, because today I'm going to break down 10 mistakes that I see buyers make in the home buying process. But first, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button and like this video. Let's get started. First up is listening to the wrong people in your home buying process. Especially first-time buyers, they have a tendency to listen to family and friends instead of listening to actual industry experts who professionally do this every day for a living. And it is understandable that people that are close to you, especially parents and close personal friends, want to give you advice and kind of share their experience with you, but sometimes you have to use a little bit of wisdom and discernment, and you have to kind of take everything they say with a grain of salt and kind of understand what areas it makes sense for them to speak into and give you opinions about versus you just listening to their shared experience on their home buying journey and just kind of taking it more as a shared experience conversation instead of this is what I should do or this same exact thing is happening to me and it means exactly what it meant for them. That's just not always the case. Sometimes it's just easier to smile politely, especially if the advice is unsolicited, and just say, hey, thanks so much for, sharing your experience with me. I really appreciate it. And I will take that into consideration when we hit that part of our journey. It's fine to let them speak into something if they're actually knowledgeable in that area, but I certainly would not want my friend who is, an accountant or a retail salesperson telling me about home inspection results or commenting on what kind of structural repairs are or are not necessary at a home I'm buying. So make sure that you listen to the right people, lean in on the trusted team that you have hired around you to share their expertise and lead you in the right direction. Number 2, not educating yourself about the process before you start looking for a home. I see a lot of buyers super eager to get out there and start looking, and that's great. We're all hoping to find the right home, but it's not fun figuring out this whole home buying thing on the fly. And you really should take some time to educate yourself about the process before you get out there and start looking at homes. When you start looking at homes in person with your agent, you should have a good foundation. We don't expect you to be an expert in the home buying process, but you need to have a good foundation to understand the different steps that you're going to walk through and the basic reasoning behind why every single step in the process exists. Because when you find the right home, you want to be focused solely on making that home yours and making sure that the home you're negotiating an offer on or that you have under contract is in fact the right fit for you in your situation. You don't also want to be simultaneously trying to figure out hey, why exactly is there an appraisal, or what's going to happen with this inspection period? What exactly is that? How much time do I have? Why is this even there? You really should have a good foundation of understanding that so you can focus exclusively, solely on negotiating the best deal possible for yourself on the right home for you. Number 3, hiring the wrong people to be on your team. And, that's going to be comprised, of your lender, your real estate agent, could even be the inspectors that you use for your inspection. You really want to make sure that the people that you are bringing on your team to help you with every aspect of the home buying process is an experienced, seasoned professional that has a really good reputation and provides great customer service. They're knowledgeable and respected, but also at the same time, we want to make sure that they're also a good personality fit for you. If you're a little more laid back, a little more cautious personality type, it may not be the best fit for you to work with someone who is super aggressive and somebody that is just a little more aggressive in their style in dealing with you and dealing with others. That could lead to you feeling rushed or hurried, or possibly take you a little too fast out of your comfort zone. Number 4, shopping before you get pre-approved. This can set a lot of home buyers up for real disappointments, not only in terms of the price that you can shop in, because you don't know it yet, you haven't gotten pre-approved, but also you have to take into consideration that certain homes may not qualify for the type of financing that you're approved for. So it's really important to get pre-approved before you get out there and start looking at homes in person, so that you know, number 1, you can afford the home that you're looking at, and also number 2, that you are looking at homes that are qualified for your type of financing. Number 5, thinking that you are the exception to the rule. I know it can be really hard to think that we're all somehow super special and that we are just going to be the one buyer in the world that stumbles across the deal of a lifetime, and the seller's just going to roll the red carpet out for us and give us like everything that we want and ask for, and there's going to be no bumps in the road, no headaches. That is not real life. If you think that you're going to have this magical, ironically perfect home buying journey, that's not real life. That's not how things play out. You're going to be setting yourself up for super unrealistic expectations once you get out there in the trenches looking at homes and you get that home under contract. Yes, you might have heard some story of one person that at some point in the past got the craziest, most insane interest rate you'd ever heard of, and everybody else had a higher rate, or they just negotiated this obscene amount of money off the price of the home. Well, you know, there's always 2 sides to every story, so I would take those stories with a grain of salt. Just keep in mind that the norm is the norm for a reason, because that is what typically happens most often, and prepare that you're probably going to have an average experience and you're going to come across some of the same bumps in the road and challenges that every other home buyer has. Number 6, assigning motives to the seller. Oh my goodness, I see this so many times with my buyer and my seller clients. They always think that the other party is out to get them, that there's some major conspiracy, any little thing that is forgotten or happens by accident. They just know that the buyer or the seller like did it on purpose, and they're doing it intentionally, and they were trying to hide that from us and they didn't disclose that. Can that happen? Yes, absolutely. But after almost 20 years of selling real estate and working with buyers and sellers, what you really see more often than not is that people are forgetful. There's very rarely real malicious negative intent behind people's actions and behaviors. A lot of times it's just forgetfulness. It's not knowing any better, and it's also having a difference in expectations between, you know, what is considered acceptable and not acceptable between the buying and the selling party. So even though buying a home can be a very emotional process, try to keep your emotions out of the equation. Don't assign ulterior motives to the seller and the other people in the process. You need to focus on what you can control and the decisions that you can make. So instead of assigning motives, just deal with the actual factual information and decide from there how you need to make decisions based on that. Not trying to decide if the seller is trying to hoodwink you out of some extra money over repairs or something like that. Number 7, not attending your inspections. I know every blue moon something will happen and maybe you're physically not in the same town and you can't be there, but I see a lot of buyers who could attend their inspections and they choose not to. They don't want to take a couple of hours off work, or they don't want to spend their lunch break taking care of business. You know, they think that, well, it's a digital age, I can review the reports and pictures afterwards. I have the inspector's number. I'll just call him if I have questions. And yes, all of that is true. You can do that, but there really is nothing that can replace physically being there in person and having the opportunity to have the inspector point things out to you and answer questions on the spot, describe things to you, and show you how things will play out for your benefit, for the benefit of your own, repair negotiations later on down the road. Number 8, not ordering a survey. Oh my gosh, I encourage clients all the time to order a survey, and yes, it costs extra money, it's an extra expense, it's optional, it's not required unless your lender for whatever reason is going to require it, and so many people just pass it up. And I see this when I'm a listing agent too, that a lot of my listings, just buyers aren't doing surveys either. You need to know what you're getting, and I would hope that you want to know what you're getting in a home and in your property lines. It's important to order a survey so that you know that the property is the size and the dimensions that you think you're getting. But you also need to know that you or your neighbors aren't encroaching on each other's properties with structural components like sheds or things like your driveways or your fence. Number 9, not having an investment mindset. First-time buyers are in a really unique position to buy their first home and one day turn that first home into an investment property. And so many buyers are fixated on getting like a dream home or getting more home than they need and growing into it over the years. And I really like to educate my clients about having an investment mindset, and you really strongly considering maybe picking a smaller home that in a year or two from now, you can upsize from that and turn that, primary residence, your first home that you lived in, into an investment property. Add that into your retirement portfolio, make money off that, and just have a little more financial security for yourself. So if you are in the market for buying your first home or a home in general, and you don't really need a big home, I strongly encourage you to think about what adding an investment property to your portfolio and your retirement strategy could do for you and your family now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Think about what it could do for you, and strongly consider shopping for a home that would be a good fit for you right now and for later on down the road as an investment. Number 10, this seems like a small detail, but it causes a lot of headache for people, and that is scheduling your utilities to get transferred at the last minute. Even though we send out reminders, tell people on telephone calls and emails on, hey, you should be contacting the utility providers and getting that transferred now. A lot of people think, oh, that's so easy. It's like a 10-minute phone call. I'll do it like after closing. And they'll get to the house later that night and find that the utilities have been turned off and they didn't make that call because they ran out of time, got busy doing something else. And you're going to be moving in the dark, or you're going to be moving in and there's no water at the house. So you're going to have to be, running down the road to a gas station or a McDonald's to use the bathroom every hour. And that's not fun. It's not a huge deal, but it's something that is a minor inconvenience that is completely avoidable if you will just call and schedule the transfer a lot earlier in the game, and make sure you schedule the transfer for the actual day of closing. If you do it a day or a couple days after, you really don't want to have that downtime between services. And I have a bonus for you. Last but not least, very important. A lot of buyers, once they buy their home, they get moved in, they forget about the future. It's really important to protect yourself after the closing. It's a lot of different things. It's about making sure that your home is properly insured, that you have the right amount of coverage and type of coverage on your homeowner's insurance, that you are checking that policy every year, making sure that you don't need to make any changes, or maybe there are other insurance providers out there that can offer you a more competitive rate for the same coverage. Thinking about the future of your ownership and consulting with an attorney and making sure that you have a will prepared so that, God forbid, if something happens to you, you know where your assets are going, how your debts and your obligations and your assets are going to be handled. It's talking with a financial or an estate planner to talk about what is going to be the future of this this wealth that you are building now that you are a homeowner. Last but not least, also consulting with an accountant, having a good accountant on your team who knows how to properly prepare your state and federal income taxes and can help you take advantage of the tax benefits that you receive now that you are a homeowner. Fortunately, many of these issues and mistakes are easily avoidable just with the knowledge and planning ahead of time and, making sure that you're properly educated and prepared for your home buying journey. But one issue is maybe you're still trying to decide on where you want to move. While your realtor might have some suggestions, definitely check out the video on your screen now so that you know exactly how you can be proactive with that part of your home buying process.